You're good. Thank you so much. You're good. Thank y'all. Very kind. Brenda, thank you for your nice introduction. My biggest takeaway is that I'm old if we've been doing this for a long time. Brenda has done a great job running Best NC, and she's been doing it for a while, and she has maintained her energy, her passion, her determination, because she just cares so fundamentally about the quality of public schools in North Carolina, and for that, I'm very grateful. I want to thank Board Chair Walter McDowell and all of Best NC for bringing us together at this 2026 Education Innovation Lab. Is Rachel Candasso still here? Our Teacher of the Year, as chair of my Governor's Teacher Advisory Council, should be coming at some point. Is Elena Ashburn here? There's Elena. She is my education advisor. So make sure that you have an opportunity to introduce yourself to her and share all of your good ideas, of which I know there are many in this room, and she will be happy to hear them all. Any legislators here? Thank you, guys. Let's thank them for the work that they do. And I expect there's some local officials and school board members here as well. Are there any? Great. Thank you all for being here. Best NC was formed in 2014, and two of its first actions was creating this innovation lab and, as Brenda noted, the NC Facts and Figures Guide, which has extensive information about the state of education here in North Carolina. The goal is for us to all to understand and agree on a common set of facts so that we can then think creatively about pursuing ideas that work. Ideas like the advanced teaching roles, the new Principal Fellows Program, Teach NC, all of these ideas have gained support in this room over the years. Each has had a positive impact on our state. This year, here in North Carolina, we achieved three substantial, significant milestones. The highest four-year graduation rate in the state's history, the highest AP participation and scores in history, and the most career and technical education credentials in state history. So let's congratulate all of the people in public education who've contributed to those wins. Those wins are a testament to our students, of course, our teachers, principals, administrators, and all of the folks who support them. When we bring these kind of people together, we can pursue ideas that work. We can bridge policy and politics to improve practice. Last month, I visited Bluford STEM Academy, which is a public magnet school of choice in Greensboro, which has implemented, Greensboro in the house? Yes! Implemented both the science of reading and advanced teaching roles. In Ms. Gerard's second grade class, I saw how she was using the science of reading to teach students about how to sound out nonsense words by blending syllables, and it was really a very cool thing to watch. The training that all North Carolina elementary school teachers have now received on the science of reading is helping kids to build a strong foundation that will have a real impact on their ability to learn throughout K-12. I also got to talk with Ms. Walker and Mrs. Biddle, two multi-classroom teacher leaders at the school. They're experienced teachers who now share their knowledge with other teachers on how to improve student learning. The multi-classroom leader position enables them to extend their reach, impacting more students, and to advance in their careers without having to leave the classroom and go into administration. The science of reading and advanced teaching roles are two ideas that work, and incidentally, I've included both of these ideas in my 25-27 budget. Earlier this month, I got to meet with Principal John Lassiter from Perquimans County. Any Perquimans County folks in the house? He's right there, all right. His district borders Virginia, which pays its teachers significantly more than North Carolina does, which makes it a real challenge for him to recruit and then to keep good teachers. He cannot fix that, only our legislature can, but he can get more students excited about teaching. So he's gotten his students involved in the PQ Ambassadors program, which gives high school students the chance to work with elementary school classes and experience teaching as a potential career. This year, 4 of those PQ ambassadors have earned the North Carolina Teaching Fellow Scholarship. It's another idea that works. Well done, John. As a state, as policymakers for the state, we have to take inspiration from and match our teachers' tenacity and our principals' passion. If we believe that our kids are our future, investing in kids is the best we can do. North Carolina, we've got so much going for us in this state. We really have a lot to be proud of. We were ranked the top state for business this year, the 3rd time in 4 years, the top state for economic development in the country, the top state for workforce development in the country. We were the top state that people from other states are moving to, top state for job growth in the entire country in the 4th quarter last year. We had the best job announcements year in state history last year, 35,000 good-paying jobs, $24 billion in capital investment. We're experiencing this success because of our people and because, as a state, we have invested in them through our public schools, our community colleges, and our public universities. And we've been doing this over the course of many decades. We are bearing the fruit of an orchard that was planted a long time ago. But today we risk hollowing out the institutions that have helped to create our success. That includes our failure to adequately compensate our students' teachers. We're in a bottom 10 state in average teacher pay, 43rd in the country. And if you've taught for 15 years, you don't get another salary increase for a decade. Starting teacher pay in North Carolina is lower than every one of our neighboring states. The reason that principals like Dr. Lassiter are having trouble recruiting and retaining teachers. One of our good friends' kid graduated 2 years ago from Appalachian State, wanted to teach in North Carolina, has a job teaching in Charleston, South Carolina, because the pay was so much more, he could not justify teaching in the state that he wanted to grow up in. Teachers drive student success. They are the #1 in-school factor of student achievement. We know this, but we have not passed a meaningful raise for our teachers in years. So if we truly believe that kids are the future of this state, then we have to make the job of educating them more attractive. Earlier this month, I rolled out a critical needs budget because, as you all know, we're the only state in the country that did not pass a budget last year. We've not passed a full budget in 2.5 years in North Carolina. That critical needs budget will put us on the path to make starting teacher pay in North Carolina the highest in the Southeast. It will give all teachers nearly a 6% raise on average. It would restore master's degree pay. It would provide more pay increases for experienced teachers, and it would increase pay for principals and assistant principals. I'm grateful for your partnership in advocating our General Assembly for these increases. We also have to set students and teachers up for success by equipping them with the adequate support staff. For far too long, North Carolina has underinvested in social workers, school nurses, school counselors, psychologists. Let's make sure that our schools have the support staff that they need to address our kids' mental health issues, to help them thrive, and so that teachers can focus on education rather than having to deal with all the issues that kids are bringing into their classrooms. I want to talk about one other idea that works that we as a state can be proud of. Cell phones are a major source of distraction for students and disruption for our teachers. When teachers don't have to compete with TikTok for student attention and students can focus on social studies instead of social media, that's when real education happens. Student mental health can also improve without the constant pressure that access to social media creates. Last year, I created a task force on student safety and well-being and charged the group with making recommendations on how to make classrooms cell phone free. And then the General Assembly passed legislation that I then signed into law that did just that. And so I want to thank all these legislators for passing that law. The initial results have been very positive. In January, I was in Charlotte at East Mac High. Any Charlotte people in the house? And I met with a handful of teachers, and they shared that initially it was a little bit of toughness trying to get the separation of the student and the cell phone, but once they had clear policies to administer and the students got used to it, they really saw a change. The students were much more engaged, eye contact in the classroom. They were looking at each other and talking to each other. Their mental health appeared to have improved. And so I want to thank the teachers and principals who've been on the front lines of implementing this new policy, and I look forward to seeing the long-term impacts of this reform. Public education is not a Democratic policy. Public education is not a Republican policy. It is a North Carolina policy. It affects every child in this state. There are so many areas, like the cell phone ban, where we can and we must work together for the benefit of our public school kids. That's why I have most recently partnered with President Pro Tem Phil Berger and Speaker Destin Hall to launch a Blue Ribbon Commission on public education. The commission is going to examine teacher training and student advancement, administrative operations, educational leadership, and accountability. And Brenda is on that council, and I'm grateful for your willingness to serve, and I look forward to you and the work of the rest of the commission in coming up with constructive ideas that help us improve public schools in this state. But few ideas to enhance public education come with zero cost. Typically, they come with some cost, which is why, as a state, we must get our fiscal house in order. So before I close, I want to take a moment to discuss the state's imminent fiscal cliff, which poses a long-term risk to the continued success of the state in general, but public education most specifically, because the largest part of the state budget is public education. So if we're having to make substantial cuts to our budget, we will be cutting public education. We're not adding new initiatives, new policies, new teacher pay raises. We will be shrinking everything. Very soon, our state revenues will not cover our current bills because of pre-programmed tax cuts that the legislature enacted years ago in what was a very different time. Within just 2 years, current estimates show that our state revenues will fall short about $3.5 billion. This gap exists not because of any new programs, not because of any new expenses. It exists because it's the difference between the shrinking revenues from these tax cuts and maintaining the level of service for our growing population. $3.5 billion, by the way, it's real money. You may not, it doesn't really have any meaning, $3.5 billion. To the US government, they blink and they spend $3.5 billion. $3.5 billion is for the state, it's 10% of the entire state budget. It's the equivalent of firing 35,000 teachers, a third of the entire workforce, and shutting down every state psychiatric hospital. It's the equivalent of shuttering the entirety of the Department of Public Safety, the State Highway Patrol, the entirety of our court system, and our entire community college system all at once. $3.5 billion is real money. And obviously, when it comes time to making cuts, we're not going to eliminate whole cloth the community college system or the courts. No, what we're going to do is we're going to be taking that out of everybody, with public education taking a large share. That is not the future I want. I expect it's not the future that you want. We are already, as a state, struggling to meet the needs that we face today. One of the fastest growing states by population. More people come, that's more demand on services. So we're failing to adequately support public education today, to invest in our critical infrastructure today, to keep up with our growing healthcare bills, including mental health, today, and to pay our teachers, our law enforcement, our public servants a decent salary. Our highway patrol starting teacher pay is ranked 49th in the country. Our correctional officers' pay, 49th in the country. We are, for a long time, been under-investing in core public services. None of this reality takes into account the changed relationship that we have with our federal government. The federal government is pushing more and more expenses onto the state. A $50 billion cut to Medicaid here in North Carolina over the next decade. This cut, this $1 trillion cut they put in H.R. 1 last year, we haven't even felt it yet. The fact that we have this Medicaid shortfall this year for the rebase of $319 million, that's nothing to do with the cuts that are coming next year from the federal government. So healthcare is going to be a real problem, particularly for rural hospitals. Cuts to SNAP benefits. We're looking at $140 to $500 million hit to the state government unless we want to just stop feeding hungry people, the majority of whom are children. Cuts to our workforce programs. FEMA's failure to meet the needs adequately of people recovering in Western North Carolina. The list goes on, and it will not get better. The federal government saved us 5 years ago with the Recovery Act, recovering from the pandemic. It ain't coming to our rescue. We have to look to ourselves to meet our needs. And with gas prices on the rise and a war with no apparent end, the warning lights to our national economy are flashing on and off brightly, which should caution us to take a pause. Re-examining current state fiscal policy in light of changed circumstances is prudent and fiscally responsible. It's what leaders do. We've created a recipe here in North Carolina that has made our state and our economy boom. People and businesses like what they see here in this state. Our talented workforce, our esteemed community colleges and public universities, our highly regarded roads and infrastructure, our agreeable quality of life, and yes, our favorable tax environment. The legislature has prioritized cutting taxes these past 14, 15 years, and as a result, we have the 9th lowest tax burden in the country, combined state and local tax burden. Our corporate taxes are the single lowest in the entire country. Just this year, in 2026, we are cutting everyone's taxes another $1.3 billion this year. So the question is, do we need to do it next year and the year after as well? This is the time to take a pause. And I want it to be absolutely clear, I am not talking about raising anyone's taxes. I'm just saying that I urge our legislative leaders to re-examine the current fiscal policy in light of the growth in population that has been substantial. I think we've added 300,000 people in the last 3 years since these fiscal triggers were put in. And there was no modification to the trigger based on how many added people are in the state, either generating more tax revenue or demanding more services. It's just a number. There's nothing. There are these states that they call it Tabor states, where you can only increase your budget by inflation plus population growth. We're not even that. We're just a number. So as revenues increase, because more people are coming here and paying taxes, that means that we're going to be lowering the taxes, which means that we'll have to cut everyone's services. We are already 49th in the country in per pupil investment in K-12 education. As I said, the number one item on the chopping block when cuts have to be made will be our K-12 schools. So your voice matters in these debates. I urge you to use it. Use your voice. Let the legislature know where your priorities are, because it's supposed to represent the people. And so have your voice be heard, please. I believe that if you work hard in life, where you come from should never limit how far you can go. That is the promise of North Carolina. Fundamentally, that is the promise. We are the state where the weak grow strong and the strong grow great. Our schools are where we make good on that promise. We give every child an opportunity. I want to thank Best NC for bringing this group of leaders together, and I wish you all a productive session in your innovation lab, making connections and learning from each other. And let's keep working together to make North Carolina safer, stronger, and more prosperous with real opportunity for every person. Thank you all for what you do.